Hello Ness. Gonna do that little dice again that we did yesterday. So first thing is to start a new image. Do that here. 50 pixels. Yep. Background color. I probably want the background to be, should really be transparent. Let's do transparent. Okay. There's my image. Gonna start with a new layer. Gonna call it background. Let's see how I do it. Name background. Okay, and I'm going to make that black. So solid color. That's the right mouse button. That's the left mouse button. So if I use the right mouse button here, we get a black background. New layer. This will be the number. Right, now I'm going to draw the number. So I just click here. I'm going to have to choose a different color to the background so I can actually see it. So I'll choose this blue. Have this font that you don't have, and I've chosen size 36. So just pop that in there. Okay, and now I'm going to give it the color. So I go to fill, go across here to linear gradient, check the settings. It's a bit better. Alright. Next thing I'm going to do, you see this part here is a little bit close to the rest of the number, so I'm going to select the line tool, I'm going to choose black as my color. These are the settings I have, and I'm going to draw a line across here just to make it not look quite so close. So what we do is something like that, and then I use the paintbrush tool, start with 100% opacity, zoom right in and just take that out. Okay, I want to make this bit here a little bit more rounded, so I'm going to turn the opacity down on the paintbrush. Opacity means how strong is the color, and then just round that corner off a little bit. There we go. Alright. Now even though you can't see it, there's some black stuff on this layer, so I'm going to turn the background layer off, do that here. So can you see that little wedge of black? I'm going to delete that. So I'm going to go back to the magic wand tool, and if I click on there, that will highlight, see it highlights the bit that I drew. Now I'm going to delete it, deselect. Alright, okay. Alright, now what did I say to do yesterday? I'm going to go to the background layer, I'm going to put two new layers in before the top one. Okay, so I'm going to have blur 1, we'll make another new layer, I'll call it blur 2. Right, then I'm going to go to the number layer, I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to copy it, I'm going to go to blur 1, I'm going to paste it into exactly the same position. On the keyboard I'm using shift and the arrow keys to move it around, and that doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? Oh, it does work. Okay, just to line it up, make sure it's in the same place. Okay. If you see, there's blur 1, there's the number layer, blur 2 doesn't yet have anything, so I'm going to go to blur 2, oops, and I'm going to paste, it's Control E, and I'm going to use the shift and the arrow keys, to get it in the same place. There we go. It's probably a good time that you should save it now. I'm not going to, just in case mine crashes, but you should save it. Okay, blur 1 and blur 2, we're going to do a motion blur. Okay, so start with blur 1, highlight the image, go to image, blur, motion blur. I chose that angle, and then I'm going to put the intensity on about 23, something like that. That was wrong, that didn't work. So do it again, but this time I'm not going to select anything. No selection. Do it again. Image, blur, motion blur. There's the angle, there's the strength. Okay, then we go to blur 2. Just going to turn the blur 1 layer off. Okay, just so that you don't see it for now. We're doing blur 2. And we're going to do the same thing. Image, blur, motion blur. But this time I'm going to make it stronger. Okay, and then we turn this layer back on again. So you get that really strong kind of malabo. Right, now I'm going to, if you look, the number layer is still just the number. Let's turn that on and off. Just makes the original number a bit stronger. Now I'm going to go to the blur 2 layer. I'm going to use the lasso. This is the bit that I think went wrong for you, because I think you're on the wrong layer when you did it. And I'm going to draw around, goodness, my mouse doesn't work well. I'm going to draw around anything to the top left of the number. Alright, so come back in through here, come around the number like this. And you see I've selected all of this area here, but nothing on this side. It's all up here. I'm going to press delete. Then I'm going to go to blur 1. I keep my selection, don't need to change the selection. Go to blur 1 and delete. And then deselect. Okay. I'll turn all the layers off so you can see the layers one by one. Right. The background is transparent. It says layer 1, but it's actually the background. This layer, I've called it background, and it's just a black thing. Blur 1, we turn it on, you have half a malabo number. Blur 2, you have a more malabo number, and then we have the number on the top. Okay, so we're going to go to the number. Now what I'm going to do is I want to make the outline of this number a bit brighter, but later I'm going to want to edit the inside as well. There are a few ways of doing this. I'm going to use the alpha channel because that's your favorite thing, isn't it? So start by highlighting the whole number, and then click on it to reduce the selected area. Contract the selection by 2 pixels, and I'm going to save this to the alpha channel. So I'm going to save. Okay, and I'm going to call it inner number. Alright, now I'm going to work on the, I want to work on the outline here, so I'm going to invert the selection. And then I'm going to click once on that space, and that will reduce my selection down to the edging. So now I'm working only on the edge of the number. Again, I'm just going to change the colors. So colors, adjust, brightness, contrast. What did I do? I had the brightness on about 20, I think, and the contrast on about 44. Oh no, maybe the brightness was more than that. Let's put this up. Let's try 40. Let's try 55 on the contrast. Deselect. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Okay, now I want to play around with the inside too of this number. So, sorry, with the inside of this number. So I'm going to load the selected area. It's very difficult to select it, if I want just that area. You can't really select it well. So I'm going to load the selection from the alpha channel that I saved earlier. There we go, and you'll see there's only one there called inner number. Now I have the inside of my number highlighted. And I wanted to play with it, but I'm not really sure what I want to do. So I'm going to make a new layer. Call it shadow. It's not really though, is it? How about shading? And I've still got the selected area. If I didn't have it, I could load it again using the alpha channel. I'm going to use the airbrush here, and I've got black. So, oh, that's too strong. So what can we do to reduce the strength? Put the step down. Can put the density up and the opacity down. Let's try that. Still too strong. Maybe I'll increase the step. Does that make it weaker? Ah, yeah, a little bit. Right. Don't really know what I'm doing. Just anything really, so there's a bit of colour. Well, it's not colour, is it? It's black. Okay, and then we use blur. Image, blur. Blur more? Ah. Image, blur, blur. Don't really like it. I don't like that. I'm going to delete it. I want to make those colours more exciting. Let's go back to the number layer, load that selection again. What if we try changing the contrast? Colors, adjust, contrast, make it darker, so -20. Develop a negative sign, and then the contrast I want to put down as well. Let's try 40. Let's try that. I think that's what I did yesterday. Okay, there's your image. The problem that I have is that I didn't put it in the middle to begin with. So, you see my shadow has hit the edge. If ever I want to move it all now and make it central, I can turn off the background layers. Now all of these layers I can merge. I should probably delete that little bit there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to merge we merge all the visible layers. That means these four get the ones that we can see, because these are turned off. Merge visible makes all of these into one layer, so let's do that. We'll turn these back on. So now when I'm trying to move this around, you will see there's a problem. The problem is I have this straight line where the edge of the image was earlier. So before I do any of that, I should have made sure that my 5 was in the middle of the picture. And I don't think that it is. I don't think it is in the middle. I think the middle should be there. I might get away with it because I didn't put my shadow on, did my shading. Anyway, that's it.